If you are a man over 35 who has already tried to eat less and move more, this video explains why increasing effort often produces worse results instead of better ones. What you are experiencing is not a lack of discipline. It is a predictable response from a metabolic system that is under strain. In the previous video, we discussed how metabolism is not simply about calories, but about regulation. Specifically, how insulin influences whether energy is stored or released. In this video, we will focus on what happens when you apply pressure to a system that has already lost flexibility. Most men respond to weight gain by doing more. They cut calories further, they increase exercise intensity, they push harder. In the short term, this sometimes produces small changes. But over time, progress slows, fatigue increases, and the body resists further loss. This resistance is not psychological, it is biological. When a metabolically flexible system experiences a calorie deficit, it can compensate by releasing stored energy. When flexibility is reduced, the same deficit triggers protective responses instead. The body becomes cautious with energy. It prioritizes conservation over change. One of the first adaptations is a reduction in resting energy expenditure. This is not something you consciously control. The body simply uses less energy to maintain basic function. At the same time, spontaneous movement decreases. Small, unconscious activities that once burned calories quietly disappear. These changes are subtle, but they matter. The total energy deficit becomes much smaller than expected, even though effort increases. At the same time, hormonal signals shift. Insulin may remain elevated due to resistance, while stress hormones such as cortisol increase in response to perceived strain. This combination favors storage over release. The body receives conflicting signals and resolves them by protecting reserves. Exercise adds another layer to this problem. Physical activity requires energy. When energy is not easily accessible, exercise is interpreted as stress rather than opportunity. Recovery slows, inflammation increases. The body compensates by increasing hunger later or reducing activity elsewhere. This is why many men notice that harder training leads to more fatigue without meaningful fat loss. The system is no longer responding in a linear way. Another important adaptation occurs in muscle tissue. When energy availability is low and stress is high, muscle becomes less responsive to anabolic signals. This makes it harder to maintain lean mass. As lean mass declines, metabolic rate declines further, reinforcing the cycle. Over time, the body enters a state of defensive regulation. Energy intake is restricted, energy output is constrained. Fat remains stored. Effort feels expensive. Progress feels slow or non-existent. This state is often described as metabolic slowdown, but that term is misleading. The body is not broken. It is responding appropriately to signals that indicate repeated strain without resolution. The abdominal area is where these effects become most visible. Visceral fat responds strongly to stress hormones and insulin. As effort increases and recovery worsens, this fat depot becomes more resistant to release. The harder one tries, the more the system defends it. This creates frustration. Men are told to try harder, when trying harder is the very thing reinforcing the problem. Because this process unfolds gradually, it is rarely recognized for what it is. Fatigue is blamed on age. Poor recovery is blamed on stress. Lack of progress is blamed on discipline. The underlying regulatory issue remains unaddressed. This is why many men can maintain strict routines for months or years without resolving belly fat. The system is adapted to resist change. More effort produces diminishing returns. Understanding this changes the framing of the problem. The question is no longer how to push harder, but how to restore flexibility. How to reduce defensive signaling. How to allow energy to flow again instead of remain locked in storage. This is not about shortcuts. It is about removing the conditions that force the body into conservation mode. In the next video, we will focus specifically on metabolic flexibility, what it is, how it is lost, and why restoring it changes how the body responds to food, activity, and effort. On this channel, I explain metabolism using medical science. This video is for educational purposes only. This is not medical advice. Always consult your physician.